HR Famous, what's happening? I'm your hostess, Jessica Lee, and I'm joined by my mischievous colleagues, Madeline and Tim, and we're here to bring you some HR humor and some irreverent discussions on all things related to HR, from recruitment and employee retention to the joys of dealing with difficult colleagues. Guys, how's it going? Do I sound like a robot?
It's
It sounded
it sounded
amazing.
it sounded so formal. Like you're like, hey, it's a real radio show, you know?
Well, the reason for that, Tim and Madeline, is because I told Chat GPT to write me a podcast intro and it wasn't good. So then I said, rewrite it and make it funny. And that's what it gave me. So clearly, some things to still work on. What I was supposed to say next was kick back, grab a cup of coffee or something stronger if that's your kind of day, and join us as we offer a lighthearted take on the serious business of HR. This is our HR Shenanigans podcast, and we're excited to have you along for the ride.
It changed the name to HR Shenanigans.
Yes, this is now the HR Shenanigans podcast. Well, that gives our three listeners a little hint into what we're going to talk about today. Before we go there, I know this was this was a while ago, but we have to actually rewind and go back to the Super Bowl because, like, we have to dissect the commercials and talk about it. So, I want to hear favorite, most memorable commercial. I did hear feedback that like the commercials this time around weren't as memorable, but Madeline, favorite commercial?
I didn't love the commercials. I'll say that. I loved seeing the Clueless one.
Yes.
I'm excited for the Nike movie, the Michael Jordan Nike movie. So I liked seeing that trailer.
Yeah.
Clueless was good. Alicia Silverstone looks so good. And I want to be, you could be her for next Halloween and I could be Dion. We would be like fantastic at that.
Let's do it.
Hey,
I love that.
We'll do a shout out. It was funny. I actually, because I do some work with the Workday team. I know Madeline does as well. And I actually sent them a note and said, hey, congrats on your commercial. And they did the rock star one where it's like, will you stop calling your employees rock stars? And then so they had always like former rock stars like Ozzy Osbourne and Kiss and stuff like that. That was, kind of on. I thought that was brilliant. Just from the workplace for me, I told my message to the Workday team was like, this was the best HR tech commercial in the Super Bowl. And they just go like, thanks. We were the only one, But I'm like, no, it was actually really good. I actually liked the Dunkin one with Ben Affleck. I thought that was brilliant.
Either of you is going to bring it up.
Especially because somebody, like one of the people was like, he's like, hey, do you know me? And the guy's like, nope. And that's completely like Boston, Madeline. Like, they have no idea.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. That was hysterical.
JLo rolling up in the minivan in that commercial at the end. I thought that was cute. My favorite was actually, people disagree with me, but it was a very long commercial. You didn't know where it was going, but it was Serena Williams and the Remy alcohol one. And I just thought the message was so good about like every inch matters. You don't think that little inch is going to make a difference, but like every inch matters, and everyone on the team pulling their weight to get that one extra inch is going to be what makes the difference to get to the finish line. And I just thought it was amazing. Strange for an alcohol commercial, but good.
Yeah, I love the GM one because I love that. I want that EV1 kind of truck they have so bad. They only made like 100 and they have it in every freaking commercial, and it pisses me off because they were sold out within like 13 seconds. And I'm like, they keep showing it, but Will Ferrell was like, he was so, again, it was a great, he was just funny, normal Will Ferrell. I actually sent a message because like, so we have a friend of ours who like is an ad, kind of person. And I'm like, holy crap, when did Jesus like hire an agency? Like the Jesus commercials were really good. There's two or three commercials. At least two of them, I think.
Yes.
And I'm like, they were actually well produced. And I'm thinking, you know what? Forever and since history, Jesus never had a PR firm, and now he does. Thank God for Jesus. Like he needed this.
That's funny.
I mean, is that where you want your, what is it called, your tithing going to though? Like, I'm not trying to get religious, but I'm like, wow, that's where like I thought the money was supposed to go to something else, but Who
Hey, spreading
knows?
spreading if you're gonna spread the word, which I think is one of the tenets of any religion, right, is to spread your message. What better way to spread it than the Super Bowl? And I was like, "Holy crap, I think Jesus won the Super Bowl commercial debate."
Funny. Funny.
Jesus spending 30 million per commercial to spread the good word, you know, that's very
The other
interesting.
one
Okay.
was the guy from Top Gun in the Bud Light commercial where him and his wife were just dancing to the hold music. I thought was, like, actually
Oh,
cute.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Because
It was
they think the person's coming back on like we all do, and they stop because
Yeah.
they think they finally made it through customer service, and then it's like comes back on, they just start dancing again, and I'm like, brilliant.
You know what? I was talking to someone the other day though about like why do we have to be on hold anymore? Like when is that going to end? Like can we just like be told you're like some places do this, right? Like you're in the queue, do you want to be
Yep,
called back? Like
Delta,
I just think
Delta
like
app.
being on hold is like the worst thing ever. Like why are we doing this to each other?
Getting
Yeah, I
worse
love it.
though. It's getting worse. It's not even like getting better or going away. It's like the whole times are an hour plus now for everything.
Yeah, I love when I, like, call Delta to make a change, and they'll say, "Oh, it's gonna be 18 minutes, we can call you back." I'm like, "Yep, bam."
Done.
And I
Yeah.
just go back to work, and they call me, and I'm like, "This is amazing."
It does take some trust though. I like you worry like, is it really
Mhm.
gonna call me back? Why hasn't it called me back? It's been about 18 minutes and my phone hasn't rung. So get a little my hands start sweating in that situation.
I will
Or
tell you,
I like
people,
text
yeah,
message, like I can't do like don't call me back in 30 minutes. It has to be 18 minutes because in 30 minutes
yes,
I'm gonna be on a call. Like it
I
has to
That's
know.
right. That's right.
But you no, but even then, like, they gave like, see, this is why I think Delta's customer service is by far the best of the airlines. Because, like, so when they call me back, if I can't pick up, they actually send you a number to call back that will actually get you to the front of the queue, right, from that. So, like, that's to me is just that's like that's the way it should work. Like,
Delta.
yeah, shout out to Delta.
Yeah.
Shout out to Delta. All right. Well, we're going to go back to the top of the podcast. People are not going to know, is this my original thought? Is this Chat GPT that is dictating my words? You all will never know. But I think if folks have not signed up for their Chat GPT accounts, you got to get in there. You got to get in there and play around. A lot has been happening in the space of AI and this whole topic. One of the big things that I think is so fascinating is like Microsoft Bing is trying to come back out on top, like become the dominant browser. Even I am on a waiting list to like get in on the Bing AI action now because they have this amazing partnership with ChatGPT. But I think we want to spend some time talking about like what is it really going to mean, like where are there the opportunities, and here's where I actually wanted to start. So I put into Chat GPT just to start like mess around some more. I put in find me a candidate for a SQL engineer because I was just thinking about like how much time do recruiters spend like trying to learn Boolean and all these amazing things and like putting things in quotations and plus signs and all of that. I'm like shocked that I know how to do that still. And I just put into ChatGPT, like, find me a SQL engineer using those words, no Boolean. And what do you guys think it came back with?
I'm gonna say LinkedIn. Like you can go search on LinkedIn or
Yeah.
something like. I don't think actually came back with actual candidates, or it can maybe a list of potential profiles from LinkedIn.
Or sites to go to, like LinkedIn, Indeed, like giving you a list of different
Come on, tell us.
places to go to.
Oh, so
We're
you
interested.
guys are smarter and like a step ahead. So what it did was it came back and it said, certainly, here's an example job posting for a SQL
Uh,
engineer that you could use as a
Uh,
starting point. So
yeah.
then I said, no, find me some resumes for job seekers who have SQL experience. So then it said, I'm an AI language model. I don't have access to databases. But then it got to where you said. So here's what it said. It said, job search websites such as Indeed, LinkedIn, Glassdoor, Monster. You could post the job listing in online job boards, reach out to IT staffing agencies, including
Mhm.
HRU Tech, who specialize in technology, talent acquisition, industry conferences. So, like, it's not there yet, but like, if you start teasing this out, like all the use cases of like what we could be doing and it getting smarter, like it really does make you wonder like what skill sets are our own HR and recruiting peeps going to have to come up with in order to like use it. and like what's going to happen to things like Boolean logic and all of that we're not going to need
This
anymore.
this is
Or
my
even Google.
entire keynote for 2023. Like I'm doing this keynote like 4 times that I've
So
already
you already
scheduled.
have 4 booked to do it. So give us
What?
the headlines. Like
Do a Chat
what are you gonna
GPT
talk
book.
about?
I think you should
No,
do a
no.
book on Chat GPT.
Oh, yeah, but again, like I feel like I'm a novice comparable. So to me, it's not because like again, I think people keep going, tell us exactly how it's going to impact our world. And Shannon Pritchett, I'll give a shout out to Shannon. She works for Hire Easy, SourceCon before that. Career Crossroads. Like we love Shannon. Um, I had made a comment on LinkedIn, and she said, "Really, it's the limits of your imagination of what this could be." And and it's got
Oh,
honest, that's the best example or it's like saying someone had said because whatever you can think of, potentially this could do. So if you think about every system you touch right now, whether that's that ATS, whether that's that sourcing tool, whether that's maybe you're doing payroll, right, and you're in Paycor or whatever, like like right now, like what we know is that most of us are terrible at data, right? So someone comes down and says, hey, I need to report on whatever, and you're like, oh gosh, you get into the system and you pull it and you're trying to put it into a table and you're trying to, and basically it takes you like 24 hours to create some stupid report for somebody. And now you would just go to your digital AI assistant and say, hey, pull me the people that made the most in our company in 2022 by role, put that in a table format. I need to graph it out in a pie chart. And it would just immediately within like seconds would all of a sudden go bloop, here you go. And you're like, all right, I'm a stud. So for me, it's this weird kind of kind of like, so I mean, I'll give you a little insight to kind of like this keynote that I'm developing, which is if you think about for most of human history, we were laborers, right? We actually did the physical work. We dug the ditches, we poured the coffee, we washed the dishes, we made the beds, we actually labored. Um, and then over the last probably like 3-4 decades, I maybe started, I guess really the advent of the computer, we started becoming creators, right? Now we're creating programs and we're creating content and we're creating policy and so now we have these new kind of roles and jobs that where we became creators. And now with the event of this AI, like Chat GPT and all the other offshoots of this, and having every single thing having like a personal assistant, you actually become a narrator of what you want and desire in your life, in your work, and whatever it might be. Madeline, you want some new clothes for an upcoming trip. You're going to talk with your AI assistant that's going to go and purchase those and have those come to you. And
right.
when they don't work, that AI assistant will actually have somebody come and pick those up from your house and and have labels printed and blah blah. Like it's insane. Like every single thing you do in life will have an AI assistant to it. So
Or even, yeah, like what your imagination could be. It could even be like, can you look at my bank account and see if it even makes sense for me to buy new clothes for this? And
Oh
it
my
could be like, I
gosh.
don't advise you to buy any new
yes,
clothes for this trip.
yeah, or like yeah, and like investment strategies. Right now, most of us set our 401k, forget about it for 10 years, and never think about it, even though the markets are up and down, blah blah. Where AI will be like sending you like in the second messages going, hey, by the way, based on some economic indicators, blah blah blah, we might want to transfer some of this money to this and move this and here, and you're like, yes. So yeah, now we have AI driven investment like portfolios, that are reacting in real time to the markets. Whereas right now we're all kind of reactive to most things. But this concept of being a narrator, people go, well, oh, then anybody could do that job. Well, no, 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 no. You still have to understand. Like, if you let's go back to Jay and talent management, right, and leadership development of a program, where you might not be creating the wording or every single thing that would happen in this leadership program you want to develop. You're narrating to the AI what your vision of this is, what it is, the reiterations of it, until you get it perfect, and you can produce something that might have taken you 90 days or 6 months or a year. Maybe now it takes you a week, right, to get to that. And so you're so much more effective, but you still have to be the expert. You still have to understand and have the knowledge of it, but you're now narrating, you're not actually producing the content.
I think like the idea of being a narrator is like a completely different concept that like people are going to have to learn what does it mean and
Yeah.
how to do it. And like part of the thing that you've like got me thinking about is like you have to almost be better than you are today at knowing like where you're trying to go and like what the
Yes.
outcome is. Like you have to
Yes.
have the end in mind and like be able to like ask and like get to the right place to get to the end. And I don't know, like that's like almost like a higher level of thinking that I don't know people
You're
have,
right.
right? You
Yeah.
Right.
know, you
Right.
No, it
had
definitely challenges
no.
us. Like that's what we don't like. We don't like thinking like, oh, AI is going to take all these jobs, and you're right. Right, AI will take millions and millions and millions of jobs, but also will create millions and millions and millions of jobs that we don't even know yet, based
Right.
on that kind of higher level of thinking of where kind of where things have to go. I mean, but I can foresee this world where, like in game design development, right? You're going to have these kids in their minds are going to be going like, hey, here's what I'm thinking,
Yeah.
and and the reiterations of where they can go with this and how fast they can go are just going to be like next level, like things that we can't even imagine from that. So it's super cool. I think when we think about like calculations, like kids learning how to do basic arithmetic, do kids know how to do math now? Well, conceptually, they really have to understand math concepts at a very high level, especially if you're like thinking about engineering and development, all these things. But will they ever have to actually physically do a calculation anymore? No, but they'll have to explain to the AI the calculation they need to have happen and why. And that's like, to me, blows my mind too, because you're asking children to think at a completely different level as well.
Visionary voices, bold breakthroughs. This is Shalley's Alley, where top recruiting minds spill their best kept secrets live every Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern. Raw, unfiltered conversations on sourcing, hiring, and the future of talent, where we ask the tough questions no one else will. Tune in and level up.
Just
It
around
changes
basic.
how you think. I think that's,
Changes,
yeah,
yes.
and I think that's what schools have been trying to do, like with this new math idea, which is very different than how like we even learn math, but it's like cheap.
Oh, Madeline.
Now,
Not the new math.
but if we could change our thinking, but using AI with it, that feels like
Yeah,
better.
Yeah.
Um, the
I
other
do think.
like area that, oh, sorry to interrupt, but I
No,
think the
go
other
ahead.
area that I think is interesting is like around travel. Like travel completely changed with like smartphones. Like we
Yeah,
could look at Google and you could like find a restaurant and you could like, you didn't need to get these like travel books that like we had in our 20s and as teenagers. And now it's like, imagine traveling and just like having like your whole trip planned
yeah.
just using AI and having this
Ima-
assistant. I don't think,
Imagine having like an entertainment digital assistant in your life that goes, "Hey, by the way, tonight at MSG, Billy Joel is playing, and there's actually some last minute tickets. I think you would like it. You can get them for $25. Do you want to book it?" And you're
yeah,
like, you would never even think about looking, but they're like, like knowing that, like Kim and I go to Cayman, and we're like the AI would go, hey, by the way, just noticed that Delta dropped, flight costs for this trip. I know, and I looked at your calendar, you have nothing going on. Maybe
Oh
you
my
guys want to
gosh,
take a trip. And you're
amazing.
yeah.
like, I mean, just being that spidered into your life that it's actually thinking for you at a level that you never could.
Or it's your
Um,
anniversary coming up, so we're going to book a reservation for you. This they have two times available at this great restaurant. Should we book it for you?
Some
I
people are
love
scared about
that.
the big brother of this, right? Like you could be talking about, like, a bucket list trip for me is Santorini. Like I would love to go to Santorini. It's I never find the time, or it's too expensive or whatever. And then like AI is going to hear that through your devices and know, and
Yeah,
constantly just in the background be searching for the right place, the right time, the right price, and then just give you the like, hey, by the way, I know you guys have always wanted to go to Santorini. And the funny thing is, I'm talking to you like a real person, because that's how the AI will actually sound. And by the way, most of this will not be written; it'll be voice. So
Yeah.
you'll be able to pick, like, I want a pleasant English woman, probably in her 60s,
yeah.
to be my AI assistant, right? Like it
You want
seems
a
so
woman in her
helpful.
60s. That's interesting. Sounds a little Mrs. Doubtfire.
Yeah,
Um,
like helpful, but also a little like, give it
Nurturing,
back to me.
Hey,
Yeah.
British, British.
British, someone
Yeah,
who's gonna bake you
British.
some crumpets and make you some tea.
Mr.
Um,
Tim. Yeah.
Madeline, I'm curious, like, as much time as you spend with tech vendors, like, how soon is it going to be before, and maybe it's already happening, that they all have, like, they're pitching things where Chat GPT or something like it is embedded. And,
yeah.
like, how quickly is that going to happen? Like, I'm just waiting to start getting all the emails, like, what's going to happen? And then what, like, how, like, and I guess, like, how do, like, let's say me as a consumer, a buyer of HR tech, I just think what's really frustrating is everyone is going to be hawking something saying that it's the next big solve, but like,
Yeah.
it's a, I don't know that it's real. And is it like really truly like Chat GPT, like quality, or is it just everyone's saying they've got the latest snake oil? So like what's going to happen in our marketplace?
Well, it's surprising to me that we haven't seen more of it. Like I thought for sure right away, even like starting in the beginning of January, I thought we'd see everyone doing a webinar, everyone kind of pitching that they were going to do something like this. And there hasn't been much. I mean, like most of the good stuff I've seen is from like either Tim or like Hung Lee at Recruiting Brain Food. And I haven't seen anything great from a lot of the vendors. There are a couple that are, I think it's Hire Easy, like you talk about Shannon. And I think Hire Easy is kind of um, talking about it and kind of figuring something out with their platform. And then there's a lot that are just absolutely not touching it whatsoever. I think some feel threatened, like if conversational
Mm.
AI providers or like the writing of, like I've seen some stuff from like the CEO of Textio about very well written and great information about like these are the things to be concerned about, and it's not a replacement necessarily for like especially reducing bias. So it was anyone should check that out. Karen Snyder wrote something on that. So I've seen a little bit here and there, but for the most part, and Barb Hyman at Sapia too has been putting out some good stuff. But for the most part, I've been surprised we're not seeing more. Tim, what about you?
I do yeah, I think part of it is because it is so new and early, it's hard to build that stuff into your technology like right away. And then
Mm-hmm.
also we're at GPT-3, GPT-4 is supposed to be kind of coming out end of the spring, which is supposed to be exponentially even better. So I think there's this kind of like wait and see for a lot of these
Mm.
techs. And quite honestly, some of the techs will be put out of business because of what's going to be built from this, right? And
Yep.
because if you think about right now, if you think about within an ATS, you have a position, it's for an HR manager, 50 people apply. You have to go through this process of screening out some,
Oh,
calling some, screening some, and then scheduling interviews between a hiring manager and the person and then all the middle person. Like right now, you could literally, not right now. I said like the technology will be built in eventually where you could go, hey, I want you to actually assess and screen all 50 and bring back to me those that we should set for an interview, and also then set them for an interview with the hiring manager, or myself or whatever. And like, it's all you're going to have to do is speak that, and bam, that work will be done. And again, it's not going to be done in seconds because it takes time for all that, like the outreach and back and forth and blah, blah, blah. But it will keep you updated as, hey, by the way, Bing got one, and you'll start to kind of see this stuff happen. So that's going to take time to build that in. It's going to take time to actually show people how to use it. It's going to not work well. And what you'll start to see is point solutions get it first. So you'll go, hey, interview scheduling. All you have to do is highlight the people that you want us to schedule, and that's it. And we'll schedule them for you for interviews. And you'll be like,
Yeah.
wow, that is life changing in recruiting, and think about, like other pieces of employee experience where you'd go, um, hey, can you give me a list of the employees in our company that are struggling the most right now? Maybe a combination of performance, combination of the language they're using in their emails. Maybe they're down, they're depressed, whatever, and it would tell you why. Hey, here's the list, and here's why each person's actually struggling in their
Mm.
mind. And then how should we kind of go about and combat that? How should we help these people? Um, like I'm just yeah. Again, I'm all in. I'm so excited about what the future is of this. So it's pretty cool, but.
so with that example you just gave, this is where I think things could get really interesting. So like I put into the chat, how should I deal with the problem employee? And so what it gave back to me was like a process. So identify the problem, address the issue, develop an action plan. And so then I asked it, like, well, what's a good template for an action plan? And it gave me some specifics of step 1 through 8. Here's the steps that you should take to develop an action plan. But then I started like thinking, okay, what if this were like over Zoom or Teams, that I was having this coaching conversation with a person? And like, how many times are people in this experience where they're like, okay, the person's reacting, I don't know what to do next. So then I just asked it quickly, like, okay, what if the employee is defensive? And then it started giving me like 6 steps of like how to deal with the defensive employee. And then I asked, what if they're crying? And then, so then it started giving me the tips on like, here's how to like deal with the person who's crying, like show empathy and understanding, refocus the issue, offer a tissue or a break. And then, like then I asked it next, like, okay, can I use humor to help the situation? And I feel like
Yeah.
imagine if you have like this real time like coach right there in the moment with you where the other person doesn't even have to know that you're like getting advice from a chatbot to
Yeah.
like deal with a situation. I just feel like the use cases in situations like that, or even if I need to get like a leadership coaching like interaction with a bot, like I don't want to have to go to my therapist, I don't really have one,
Yeah.
or I don't want to go to an executive coach where I'm paying hundreds of $1,000, like however much it is to deal with that person. Like sometimes you just need prompts to like help you
Yeah.
think through it. And so in that space of like employee coaching, or things of that sort, I feel like there's some
So
opportunities
Right.
there.
Jay, now
Coaching.
again, think about how this is making us rethink. Now, again, let's go back to that. Let's say Workday is our HCM, and you go in and say, "Hey, by the way," and let's say you're the boss, I'm the employee, and you go, "Hey, Workday, I think Tim is struggling. How can I have this conversation?" You're going to have an AI that actually understands your leadership style, every interaction you've had with Tim previously, understands maybe that you're a little bit conflict avoidant, right? Maybe Tim is a little defensive, and has other things going on in personal life based on like every day, all the data. And now it's going to come with a personalized plan on how you specifically as a leader should have a conversation with Tim specifically as your employee
Mm.
that is completely specialized just for you too. Like, to me, that's the crazy piece. It's not just saying, "Hey, how would I talk to an employee?" It's how would I talk to that employee right now in this time,
Yeah.
knowing who I am?
Right. The
That's
context.
completely a different level. Like, it's so shocking to me that we're gonna have that. And again, whether that's 12 months, 36 months, 5 years, I mean, the adoption phase of this will take time, right? It'll be a decade from now, and we'll still have companies who haven't adopted it, but
Yeah.
maybe I'm wrong on that.
I feel like it really takes like someone being open to like what are the possibilities and how can I use this like as leverage to just become like better and like round out my edges. Like I think a lot of people go to the space of like I'm intimidated and scared by this, but like if you're open to it, like and just as a small example, like I turned on in Teams a speaker coach so that after every Teams call, it's evaluating, did I speak too quickly, too slowly? Did I say like,
Love that.
too many times? And it only takes me, 15, 30 seconds to skim it after every Teams call. But I do it and it makes you really self aware of you're using too many gender terms. You're saying like too much. You're saying too
Right.
much. I'm not saying I'm getting better or perfect, but it certainly like helps you stay very cognizant of like where do you have opportunities to improve.
Have you
So
guys seen the new Microsoft Teams that like because obviously they put what 10 billion into Chat GPT. So now when you have a Teams thing, you can turn an AI driven assistant on that will after the meeting's done will actually show you like, hey, here's the main takeaways and here's the follow ups and here's
I
Oh,
haven't
that's
tried
awesome.
that
That is
yeah,
yet.
it's
awesome. That's
and
awesome.
and again, I think, again, like, everything is gonna be about how can we make money. So I think, it's like, it's some subscription that you can
Yeah.
add, right, to your Teams account or whatever. But even to the point
Worth
of
it.
actually scheduling, like, future meetings because they were discussed, and what happened. So
Yeah.
Or
I
even like
mean,
you could eliminate certain meetings being like there was like really you can see
oh,
there's
oh,
actually
yeah.
nothing that came from this meeting. Like the engagement was super low and maybe you don't need this every week.
I can't tell you how much time like we spend in wasted meetings and then how much time like lately I've been in conversations about how do we make our meetings better, smarter, and like it's just insane the amount of time in meetings and then meetings talking about meetings to try to make it better. It's horrible.
Microsoft did say that's one of the things that they're hoping that the AI will actually eliminate and reduce the amount of meetings, right?
It
Because
should. It
it's
should.
gonna show you like, "Hey, by the way, this," like, let's say there's 8 people on your meeting for your Teams meeting, and, like, 5 or 6 of you are on multiple meetings throughout the week. Well, if you're already all here, and is there a way to actually consolidate some of this stuff, right, and get stuff done, and more and use your time more wisely. I think a lot of that stuff will probably happen.
You know what
You
drives me
know,
What?
You know what drives me crazy is, and I think it's like happens at a lot of big companies, because I don't work for a big company, but kind of being involved in some of these calls, I see it happen all the time. Where let's say the call's 2 hours, and you get through everything you need to get through in an hour and a half. People will still stay on the call for the extra 30 minutes, talking
ugh.
about absolutely nothing that drive anything. It's like, we can end the call now. But there is like this, it's a culture thing at some companies where let's just all stay on and talk about other stuff now because we've got an extra 30 minutes. I'm like, no,
And you're like, look, I got a life. I
I'm like,
need this extra 30
I
minutes.
could wrap this up in 30 minutes and we could have been done with this. But
I love
So
being able to
true.
give people the
yeah,
gift of time back at the end of a meeting if we end early, for sure.
right, right.
Um, well, Microsoft, I think that's one of like the really cool things, interesting things. There's going to be things written in the history books about this. Microsoft, the big bad Microsoft, coming back on top.
Mm,
We think it's a dinosaur. There's so much to be made fun of, but like Microsoft coming in strong when it comes to all things Chat GPT, AI, regenerative AI. I mean, I think that this is going to be an interesting story for Satya Nadella and how he's just coming in big and bad.
I told Madeline, I think Microsoft is the winner of the future of HR tech,
yeah,
because if you think about really where do our employees spend most of their time, it's going to be in Outlook, it's going to be on Teams, it's going to be, so they have the most data of our employees is right there, and generative AI will have the most impact within that environment. And I think I mean, I just think that they're going to own HR tech kind of, in the future, or at least they're positioned to. Now, again, the question is going to be is how much of this AI can be built into other products so that, we don't rely on Microsoft over, the Oracles, the Workdays, the SAPs, blah, blah, blah.
right, right.
Oh, Microsoft.
Mhm.
Well, in the spirit of trying to be better, do better, use, all things Chat GPT, here's what it says about being a great podcast host. And this is what I leave you with today. It involves more than just having a good voice and interesting guests. Tim and Madeline requires preparation, engagement, a genuine interest in your topic and audience. So here's what it's telling us: be prepared, engage our audience, be authentic, listen actively. Cam, this one's for you. Edit ruthlessly and continuously improve. And if we do this, we can continually refine our approach, have a podcast that engages our audience, and hopefully keep them coming back for more. So, it has something for all of us to help us be better, do more, and hopefully next
Hey,
time it'll write us a better script.
before we go, like what we didn't talk about was the generative AI and chat actually being able to replicate our voices so that we wouldn't even have
Oh,
to be.
soon enough.
So now I don't have to like track you guys down to get you on. I can just go, I'm going to have AI Jessica and AI Madeline on the call.
What I'm going to do is have my, virtual assistant respond to your text messages that I just ignore because I'm too lazy to go to my Outlook calendar and see, am I free at the time that you're asking about? And then, you text us like 5 times. So that's what I'm going to do, Madeline, is it's going to look at our calendars and just respond to
I
Tim
just
so
respond.
that he
Oh,
can
that's
stop
a great use
harassing
of AI. I like
I
that.
want to do it with audio though, so we have to be 60-year-old British women, and then
us.
I'll respond to that.
Oh my gosh, that's so good. Well, HR Famous Land, that's it. Another episode talking all things regenerative AI, Chat GPT, et cetera, et cetera. Wait for the next episode, which will be better because we're going to take these tips and, Cam's going to edit ruthlessly and we're going to actively listen to one another and it's going to be great. So for Tim and Madeline, I'm Jessica Lee and this is HR Famous. We're out.